Albert Einstein once said, one of the most important things that you will ever decide upon in this life, one of the greatest life choices that you will ever make, is how you choose to see the world around you, how you choose to see the world. Will you choose to only see hate and to participate in it at any level whatsoever, or will you choose to see a life of pure love? And he said this because what you choose to see in the world is going to be directly what it is that you contribute to life, to this existence. And if you're choosing to contribute to anything hateful and spiteful and negative, then you're priming your cells, your existence, your body, your energy, your frequency, your vibration. You're priming every micro organism and organelle of your entire body, the trillions and trillions of cells that are made up of atoms, which are mostly empty space. So we're basically made up of mostly open and empty space. That all resonates and vibrates at a frequency. And when you choose to see the things in the world around you, killing and the distrust and the tensions, the insanity, you're literally creating that vibrational frequency and resonance in your body and every single of the trillions of cells that make you you. And simultaneously, with that rate of vibration, what you're doing is you're priming and programming your brain, the reticular activating system, to see more negative things, to confirm your bias in the environment, especially when it has something to do with negativity and things like tensions and distrust and insanity and violence that's just breaking out. So because it has a natural tie to our brain's number one most primitive priority in the unconscious part of our brain, that's just survival, don't die and get hurt and stabbed and shot and stuff, it happens at a much greater rate of speed. So if I choose to see a negative world, then I'll resonate at that vibration in every cell in my existence. And I'm molding my brain, the cells that are primed at that resonance, to then therefore see and prioritize all the bad negative things in the world that are associated with my unconscious, primitive, primal survival brain. And therefore that's what I will contribute. And that's the perpetual cycle of quality of life that one will continue to have when they choose to see this negative world that they happen to be existing in. But on the opposite end of that, on the other end of the spectrum, the one of light, when you choose to see things of love and kindness and compassion and resonance, well, then that's what you will create in terms of the vibration in your body, in your cells, and that will prime and program your brain to then therefore see those things, in which will confirm your bias, the reticular activating system, the things that you're priming and programming your brain to look for. And so therefore, that becomes your virtuous life cycle, where you continue to choose to see the things that are associated with love and light, and that's kindness and compassion and understanding and humility and empathy. All those attributes will cause you to truly humble yourself so much to the point where, what do you really know? You know, nobody in this world, and I'm not saying this, I'm stealing this from somebody, I can't remember who, but nobody in this world knows enough to be a pessimist. Nobody in this world knows enough to have resentment or cast judgment towards another. And now, especially what's happened the last couple of days with these Epstein files, let's talk about some of the worst things in the world. You know, what do we do when we're confronted with these things? And this is just how I at least look at it and view it. Everything aside from the victimization of another human being, like the physical violence forced against another human against their will. We'll cover that in a moment. But everything else below that, who am I to ever really judge somebody? For people to even have such a different, conflicting point of view as to where they even want to kill me, that's weird and sad, but who am I to actually cast like a hateful judgment back onto them? I mean, what circumstances and series and sequence of events of life have transpired that have turned this person into who it is that they are now? Because nobody ever wakes up wanting to live a horrible, sucky life. And they, either one, clearly don't think that that's the kind of life that they live, and they're truly convicted in these beliefs that they have. And so now it's just from like a scientific perspective, I become curious as to like how that happened. But even from like a judgmental, how could they think this? And, they want to kill me. And it's like, who am I to even cast that judgment on them? Because what one event did not take place that would have cascaded a very similar sequence of events for me to be in their shoes and them to be in mine? Who am I to say anything? All the things that I've done that are fucked up. And to say that the stuff that they're doing or saying is any more or any less bad as to the things that I've done. But I think that's a way of choosing to see the light through the darkness. And what this reminds me of is that so many times, I want you to picture yourself getting ready to go out for the night, and all of a sudden the power goes out and you drop your car keys and it's completely pitch black and you can't see anything. And so you start to crawl around looking for your keys, but you can't find your keys because they're just gone. You can't even see your hand in front of your face. It's so pitch black inside your house because this crazy power went out. And then all of a sudden outside, from the corner of your eye, you look and you see that there's a street lamp outside on the sidewalk that's lit. And so you begin to think to yourself, well, I'm not gonna keep just prowling around in here on my hands and knees. I'm gonna go out there where there's some light and be smart about it and finish this thing. And so you go outside and you're in the street light and you're in the road and you're looking for your keys and you're on the sidewalk, and your neighbor comes along and says, well, what's going on? How can I help? You go, I lost my keys. And he goes, well, let me help you. And so you're both sitting there, you're patting around underneath the dim street light, the lone street light amidst all the darkness. And then finally the neighbor goes, where did you last see your keys? And you reply, oh, I dropped them in the living room when I was getting ready to leave the house for the night and the power went out. And the neighbor, of course, is saying, well, you had me out here, we're looking for your keys. Well, obviously you have to go back inside and find your keys because that's where your keys are located. The point to the story is that this is what we do. Whether we choose to see a negative, hateful, evil world or a positive, loving, light-driven world, we always tend to look outside for those things. And now, if you could just choose, if you had a choice, just plain and simple, if a wish was to be granted to you and somebody said, do you want to spend the rest of your life struggling to not see it as a negative, hateful place and contributing that way? Or would you rather just see it in a viewpoint of positivity and love and light? And I'm almost certain everybody would say, yeah, I don't want to live a life of struggle, of negativity, of perpetual just angst. I want to live a life of lightness and be joyful and experience things and have relationships and friendships and deep, meaningful conversations and love and life. That's the life that I want to have. The reality of it is, though, is that when you choose to want that, that's really all you have to do is you have to look inside. You have to choose to look for your keys inside your own house because the lights have gone out, and you have this idea of the life that you want to live, which is your keys, which is get you to the destination. Your keys are the tools that you need in order to get yourself to this new location in life to see things in that positive, light way. But yet we rely on the things outside of the house to tell us whether or not we're seeing the positive or the negative or the lights or the darks. And so by looking outside of ourselves, for the things that we say that we choose to want to believe in and exist in, that doesn't work because you're opening yourself up. You're emotionally weak because you're basically keeping yourself cracked open to the whims of the world, which, if you ask me, will always be negative and chaotic and crazy. And this is why it's so important that you have the ability to shut yourself off and to be aware enough to have retrospect and perspective and introspect, whatever word of perspective there is for you to look inside, deep inside, and begin to pull and harvest that person out of you. Because if you choose to see the things that are always good in this life and the positive and the love, then all you need to do is look within yourself at that point in time and use those characteristics and those traits of things like humility and compassion, kindness, and ultimately love in terms of the act of a service. That is how you do it. And anything else, any deviation of focusing, oh, well, the injustice behind it. Yeah, all right, I get it. We'll get that. We'll get to that here in a moment. But that response alone is you just being cracked wide open, looking for your keys outside of the house and not looking for the keys within your house, within yourself, within your own soul. And again, if you just do that, if you look outside of you, you'll never become the person you want to become or get to the destination as to where it is you're trying to be going. Because you will be at the whims of the senselessness of the things that you're looking for, which are within you out there in a world that will always turn you towards violence and hate. Now, the world is a dark, sad place. And we've got these, I haven't even looked at it all, but I'm going to, just because of my background in my life and all the things that I've done and do and say. I'm gonna look at the rest of the Epstein files here, and here's what I have to say. It's like, it's demonic possession. You know, I think I understand when the Bible says not to hate like the actual person, but you know, the acts and all that stuff. And I mean, don't get me wrong, this is still life. There are still consequences, and you could put a bullet in a man's face, especially sick, demonic, child rapist who may have, and I don't know, but apparently disemboweled infants and ate them and drank their blood and just did the most atrocious things to these little children. I don't know if that's legit yet or not, but I saw that in things I've seen so far. Fuck, man. This is life. There's still consequences. And yeah, that shit pains the fuck out of me. But pain creates, in me, action. It doesn't create like anger in me. It just creates this immense desire to take action. And I think that's where I'll have to begin, is just to actually look at these damn things. You don't have to let your pain drive your hate. You really don't. I mean, would I bust down a pedophile ring and shoot all the pedophile dudes in the face? Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Shoot the ringleaders in the face? Yeah, absolutely, 100%. But it's fucking sad that I would have to do that. You know, like, that's sad. It's not like awesome. It's just freaking sad. And we're living in a time now where I have no clue what's going on. And confusion can create distress, and distress creates frustration and anger and negativity and doubt, hopelessness and all that. And so right there you even see how that cycle begins to resurface itself in my life. And I'm very aware. I'm sure it does the same for you guys, if you don't know this yet. So I don't know, I mean, I guess I'll read about it, I'll educate myself on it, and then, I don't know, man, maybe some good comes out of this and some of these anti-human trafficking organizations, especially with the amount of veterans right now that are just like, I actually have a pretty good feeling, I think, about the future of human trafficking. I got a feeling a lot of grieving special operations veterans, I got a pretty good feeling about this. the next 25 years. Human trafficking. It's horrible and it's sad, guys, but you see how that right there even is an example of choosing to see love and light, using pain as a means of a tool of action. It's one thing I've at least noticed for myself is that when I have immense pain and there's no action, like I'm immobilized, there's inaction, and that's when like I immediately start grasping for vices and things to just make me feel better in the moment. We could lie to ourselves about anything, but choosing to see the light and be the example for your kids, be the example of not positivity in the sense of I hate these people, but I'm such a loving, positive person, but just genuinely, guys, in the sense of, man, that's pretty sad. I hope those people get help. Obviously, there's lines that can't be crossed without consequences, like, you know, the Alex, Pretti shooting. Man, there's a lot of stuff going on right now that's super fucked up. One of them is not removing violent, illegal immigrants off the streets. And for anybody to say anything like that, you're such a spoiled little bitch. You really are such a spoiled, rotten little bitch. To literally have such a luxury in the United States of America that you could actually riot and fight police and impede federal law enforcement and federal customs investigations and deportations on literal child rapists and literal fucking murderers and mentally insane fucking people who are absolutely 100% released from wars and part of criminal organizations. That is such a spoiled little bitch luxury. To want those people here on the streets, guys. What the fuck? It's so insane. And look, I'm not saying ICE doesn't have their problems. They have a massive hiring influx. But again, this is just because of the previous administration and the most insane open borders ever seen in the history of our nation. Like, crazy numbers. 20 million? That's like every large city in America combined. Like the top 5 large cities in America combined. Every person. All flooded across the border for all those major cities. New York, Chicago, LA. Man, Philadelphia or Pittsburgh. Like big cities, guys. A lot of bad people, terrorists, who literally want to kill you, your family, your loved ones, your kids. And would bathe in your blood and glorify it. But whenever you have a massive hiring influx like that, you're going to get a lack of standards. You're going to get people who don't get adequate training. And that's a crazy ass situation to be in, which is more the reason why you guys should probably just back the off. Like, they're trying to do a good job, remove bad people, do some good people get mixed up in this process. Absolutely 100%. And man, does my heart go out to those people. That sucks so bad. Like, it literally rips it out of my chest, man. But what am I supposed to do? Like, you had an option, you had a choice. I love you to death. You're a brother. But a brother of mine wouldn't even cry or complain about this if they got hemmed up with the process, because they would just take accountability and accept the fact that it just is what it is. And then they would figure a way out. And guess what? There's quite a few ways out that they could then therefore begin to work in the system, especially under certain circumstances. Now, is that going to take time? Yeah. But again, accept responsibility and then follow through with your actions. Look within and then become better. But to impede on federal law enforcement investigations, to actually think. Now, I'm all for people concealed carrying, whatever, man. Like, do you? Is it illegal to have a gun in that type of an area? Well, a lot of people saying back and forth stuff. I know in the state of Illinois, you cannot have a concealed weapon in an assembled thing, like a block party or a permit required event. Now, are the federal investigation impediments permit events? I'm guessing not, but honestly, at this point, nothing would even surprise me. I would just say, yeah, that sounds about pretty fucking crazy, just like impeding upon federal law enforcement investigations to begin with. When people say that they're loving and caring and then they go out and they do something like this, that is not contributing to the world in that loving, caring, positive, joyous light. That's contributing in the opposite end of that spectrum. People say, well, he was given no choice. I don't know what sense that even makes, but it was 100% the choice to participate in all this stuff. And that's, again, looking outside and external for things to change you within, when you should be looking for your own car keys inside of your own soul. And then people are surprised that he got shot and killed. I mean, you know, the chick Renea Good, she's a mother. How are you being a positive light? How are you being a positive force in this world? I'm standing up for the innocent. No, you're not. You're quite literally impeding federal law enforcement investigations, endangering everybody's life. It's the reason these people got killed even to begin with. If guys weren't fucking around with the feds, then this would have never even happened, and there'd be a lot less child abusers and criminals and insane people literally on the street that have gotten here illegally. And so that means that there's probably a good amount of people that have been victimized in the interim that wouldn't have been victimized in the interim. And now, does that mean that some good, hardworking, otherwise innocent people are going to get hemmed up in that process? Yeah, because one, in the end, still here legally. Have some self-accountability. I get it. Your family's here, all that crazy shit, man. I mean, I get that. I've lived my whole life around people who were doing that. I myself have done that in my life, where I was separate continents, away from my family for extended periods of time, providing support back home for them. I get it. Oh, I get it. Trust me, I get it. But if I would have gotten arrested in any of those countries for doing something that was against their laws, I mean, in the end, I would have just been like, it's my fault. I would have done something about it, but I was never in a country illegally, so I never worry about that. Are you out there exhibiting the behaviors and putting out the energy and the emotion of one who's positive and loving because you choose to be? Or are you finding other things outside of you to find all these reasons to be upset and justify your actions because that's what disturbs you within? I challenge everybody in these crazy times to think about what that means. Think about every piece and aspect of negative information that gets fed to you throughout your day. Think of the top 1, top 3, top 5, and then start to think about your life without those. Take some time and actually play this out in your mind. And then think about choosing to see love and light by exercising the characteristics and the attributes of humility. You know, that you really don't know anything, and that your life turned out where it is and could have been as easily anybody else's life. You could have easily not been the sperm that made it through the egg. Could have ended up like on a floor somewhere or something. Use that humility to just humble yourself and to check yourself and to immediately neutralize any negative bias that you may already be conjuring up and churning over whatever it is that you're watching and seeing. And remember, you have to look inside, because it's inside that has the control. Unless you choose to just crack yourself open and give it to the world, but the world will always be a whirlwind of negativity and violence and hate and anger and destruction. I don't even think it's, intentional most of the time. I think it's just life is chaotic and crazy, and we're so globalized and connected. It's only kind of bound to happen if you think about it. Human tribes back in the day, 100, 150 people most. Now we got billions of people connected in the world with robots that aren't even real. They're just designed to antagonize. So some of it is intentional, but it doesn't matter when you choose to look within you, and you choose to exercise humility, curiosity, a willingness to learn about others and their life and what drew them to these experiences and these conclusions. It's a very, very incredible lesson that I learned in the mountains of Wyoming last summer, and I hope to share it with you all for the purpose of it opening up your mind and perspective, and maybe looking in a different direction to say, man, are my actions that of what I claim them to be? If I was to just choose to look inside and not use anything in the outside world to justify the way that I am behaving.